Okay, we'll call this meeting to order February 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. for a regular board meeting, Pennfield Schools, and we'll start with lunch.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sarah, will you take roll call?
Yes. Brad Crandall. Dawn Horton.
Here.
Stephen Herbstreit.
Here.
Sarah Jones here. Sarah LeBreton here. Jennifer Sheldon here. Tim Wood.
Here.
Thank you. And, okay, public comments.
I do have one for Natalie Pratt.
Hi, I'm Natalie Pratt. I am an alumni at Pennfield and was the former student body representative for the school board. I wanted to speak today to give recognition to two people, Mr. Bowen and Ms. Sales. Mr. Bowen and Ms. Sales are the people that keep our choir program afloat. They are the heart and soul of our choir. More than that, though, they inspire all the kids in their classes to be their best. They have both been there for me in times of need, and they've done this for countless students. We never got to celebrate what Ms. Sales did before she left, so I would like to do that now, as she is one of the most amazing teachers I have met. I was hoping to student teacher with her as well as Mr. Bowen, and I am truly saddened that I don't get to do that, because these two individuals are the whole reason I am studying to be a music educator. Ms. Sales taught us countless things about music that we will all use in our everyday lives, as well as had discussions about being kind, knowing how to make our voices heard, and not letting anger be our first reaction. That it is our choice whether to sit and stew in being upset or let music be inside of us for at least one class. She has helped us all with all of our baggage and taking that upon herself and helping us. She has helped us with countless things, from it being fixing a bra strap or helping us when we're crying or just giving us a Jolly Rancher. She's just an amazing person, and she loves us all very dearly. And I just wanted to recognize her and all that she's done for this school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, recognitions and presentations.
Awesome. So we have two presentations. One is Angina is going to do a presentation of the budget amendment that you're being asked to approve. And then the other is Mr. Loy from the high school. This is our traveling board meeting to the high school tonight. So would you like to go first, Angina?
Please make sure that pulls up there. Sit there. All right, this is the summary. So this is the first revision of the 23-24 budget. And as you're aware, we bring the original budget in June. And a lot happens from that June budget to this budget. There's a lot that we here finding what the state's gonna give us. We get our student count numbers, we have our staffing figured out, benefits and all that stuff get updated. So all those are just a blanket update that happens every year with this first revision. I'm gonna start down at the bottom, where everybody kind of likes to know the bottom part first. But we are projected with a $383,648 deficit. Now that looks alarming right off the bat. I would usually bring this to you and I'd be like, oh my gosh, we have to do something. But what this really is for the turf. We had decided that we would use capital project funds for the turf, and that amount was $466,000. So you can see we're a little bit better off from that purchase. So I wanted to kind of talk about that first, just so you aren't so alarmed as you're like looking at that bottom number and like, how can that be? So looking at the fund balance, that leaves us at $6,189,820 in fund balance. That's total fund balance. And you'll see that unassigned fund balance of the $4.7 million, and that's hovering right around that 17% that the board has talked about for many years is their safe zone. That's where they feel safest, and keeping that foundation allowance that allows us not to have to borrow over the summer, that keeps us, you know, pretty much on track with cash flow and stuff like that. So those are all great things. I'm going to go up in the budget and kind of go in a little bit of detail. I'll start with the revenue. So our general fund revenue, you'll see from the preliminary budget was $25.1 million, and I'm bringing you this budget at $26.9 million. And most of those changes, so foundation allowance, when I did the original budget study and I projected that, we did a $9,550 foundation allowance. That was our best guess at the time in June, as the budget wasn't approved. That foundation allowance did come in at $9,608, so we were pretty close. It's always better to get more money than to have to come back and say, oops, we got to cut a little bit more than what we had. The FTE count. So the blended FTE count, and that's how we get paid from our state aid, was 1,956.42. And just to remind you, the 0.42, we really don't have like half bids here, but we, as they're going to like KCC or the Math Science Center or the Career Center, different things like that, that's how part of their one FTE gets distributed. So a lot of that happens in the high school age kids. So with that, in this year we did something a little bit different than we've done in the past. We became partners with Lighthouse, which is the Homeschool Alliance Group. And with that, what we were able to do, with that amount of kids, we're able to receive 40% of the foundation allowance for us. And we have to basically enroll these kids, have them go through our people accounting audit and stuff like that. And with that being said, our total fund count was at 1956.42. The Homeschool Alliance count had us at an additional 62.58 FTE. So without joining that alliance and doing that, we would be down 62.58 FTE times the 9608. So that would have been a huge hit to our budget. So it's been a great opportunity for us, and it's really helped us along the way to do the programming that we feel fit that we need to do, and being able to pay the salary benefits and do the stuff for the staff that we have. In talking about that, sometimes it's Scott Roberts, I just put in here, we talk about the seniors leaving versus the kindergartners coming in. So if we talk about just our kids that are going to school here full-time at Pennfield, not the homeschool. So we had 20 less kindergartners start school in Pennfield this fall than we had seniors leave. So right there off the bat is 20 less students that we have just in, I think we talked about this and we've done this when we did bond work and the whole projection of people coming in, where that's going to be, and we're prepared. We've talked about having decreased enrollment, And a lot of that is due to, it's just in the study with the birth rates and stuff there's just less kids coming our way. And I think that kind of just proves that point when we had 20 less than our seniors that left. So I just kind of wanted to touch base with that on that. With all those changes I just talked about, the foundation allowance, the FTE, the homeschool allowance, that resulted in approximately a $500,000 increase in state aid. I'm just going to go over a couple other major changes in that revenue that makes up that $1.76 million. Our county special ed increase, so they have increased us to 100% reimbursement of the CISD approved costs. So with that, that's all our special ed teachers, our one-to-one aides that are mandated aides, and then this year they have also increased and allowed us to get reimbursement for 4 LRE special ed teachers. So that's a new part to that reimbursement this year. So 100%, I think we were at 98, I can't remember exactly. Last year we bumped that to 100 plus, giving us the 4 additional aides that we can get reimbursement for. So that resulted in about a $234,000 increase. The grants, you'll see are increased by $369,000. That's going to be falling off probably next year, or probably the next year at the end of September. We have a lot of ESSER grants and COVID-related funds, and there's so many letters and acronyms for these funds that we have, and the majority of them are falling off September 30th of 2024. So the remainder of this year, summer, and just starting into fall. So I think we'll see that drastically change in the coming years. And just know that as that increases, and I have that on the next page, the revenue and expenditures equal. So as one decreases, the expenditures decrease. So those numbers don't really affect our fund balance. The other large increase in money is for the MIPSers program. So the state has been doing a lot to give us extra funds to reduce how much we pay in retirement costs. And there's two different, there's a UAAL retirement cost and then the normal pension, or I'll say it's not, everybody's not in a pension, but the normal retirement cost. So they're giving us extra funds for that to help districts with that. And this year, that was an increase of $513,000. So that was quite a help in that. The other new category that we got this year was some transportation funds from the state. We've never received that before. So we actually have received $222,000 this year in transportation funds. And I'll talk a little bit, but we actually were requesting approval tonight of a great GPS program, turn-by-turn solution. Kids can sign on, sign off, so we can just have a better understanding of where a child got off, that everybody was on. But the one that I'm most excited about is probably the turn-by-turn operation. When we have sub-drivers and stuff like that, it's pitch black in the morning, they're really trying their best to get our kids here safely. I'm really excited to, hopefully that, you'll see that, the same value in that, and we'll approve that tonight and we'll get started with that. But these funds have really helped us be able to afford that if that is approved. And also we did purchase a bus this year, which was in the original budget, but this money also helps offset that purchase also. Does anybody have any questions on the revenue? Moving into the expenditures. The expenditures are increased by $2.1 million. I'm just going to move my slide down here. You'll see from the $25 million to the $27.2 million. That's where I'm talking about that increase. And a few things that I'm just going to highlight to go over. Capital projects, when you look at that number and you're looking at that increase, a lot of that increase is the turf, the $466,000 of the turf that we talked about. We also, I believe it was last board meeting, you approved Centegic's purchase, which is another safety component for all of our staff in the buildings. So that is a 5-year purchase that we're doing with that. And the conclusion of the HVAC project at the North Penn and Purdy Elementaries. that project is actually finished. I'm very thankful for that. So that's good, one project completed. So the next thing I had was the grants, and that was a direct correlation to the revenue that I spoke about earlier. In athletics, you'll see there was some increase there. We actually have added a trainer mid-year. We're excited about that because we've been doing some hourly trying to get this, and now we can have a full-time trainer on site, so we're excited for that. We also are purchasing some athletic equipment, soccer balls, and a high jump pit for the new stadium, so that as those events come this spring, that other sports will be able to use that stadium as we talked about, and just think that that'll be a great use of our new stadium. With transportation, where I talked about that increase, again, it was about the GPS system. And we also went back after we negotiated the contract and did a wage increase, as we're really trying hard to work on that bus driver shortage. So that was adjusted with the benefits and that in this budget also. In our maintenance budget, that has an increase. We, of $270,000. There's some utility costs that are increasing, and some custodial services that just increase on an annual basis under the contract. We have added $100,000 for vehicles, and we have purchased one used truck. We have 2 other vehicles that we are looking to procure right now to see whether used, we were trying to find the best deal, but we've kind of neglected our vehicles are just tired. They need some love. We're not plowing right now currently, so plowing on your vehicles really can take a toll on them also, so it increases that. Our insurance, just the insurance of the district and vehicle insurance was a $24,000 increase from last year, and we've also increased our pest control system, and that was about a $10,000 increase. So we're really trying to get a better handle on some of that situation in the buildings. The business office, we have about almost a $43,000 increase. We had a retirement of Kathy Swartz, and with that comes some extra benefits when people retire, and then also just our new staffing into the system, and that's just kind of massaging the amount of hours that we work and stuff like that. So that's a very small increase. The 241 section, or the administrators, that's where the principals, secretary, the village principal secretaries, dean of students, and those positions are there. So we've added 2 curriculum coordinators this year, so there's a stipend that went to each of them for the additional work that they're taking on. And we also added a dean of students. So that's where some of that's like shifting from other places into the administration.
Just to clarify, we changed the title from behavior specialist to dean of students in most places, and by doing that, it changed the function code that it comes out of.
Exactly. The board account, and I'll kind of mention, go along the same lines of what Stephanie said. If you're looking at this, the 232, you'll see a decrease in that, but that had the ombudsman in there originally, and that wasn't really the right category to charge that to, so that position was moved to its own category. So again, that's just a shift in where you'll see it on here, but it might look funny when you're looking at the summary. The board expenses has an increase of a little over $23,000. We've added $9,000 for the election costs of the May election to renew our non-homestead millage. And our audit services were an increase of $13,000, and that was due to the new GASB rule that we had to go through, and it just took a lot of extra work, because you remember that our audit was a little bit late getting reviewed to the board, and that was from that. The library section has about almost a $15,000 increase, and we added a part-time library aide to the middle school. So we had been without that position last year. I can't remember, the year before, Stephanie, was it 2 years without the library aide?
Yeah.
2 years, so we've increased
Yeah.
that back. So now we have a library aide at the middle school, which is working great. That person is actually shared between here, the high school, and the middle school. So that's been nice to see. The counselors, you'll see there's a decrease in that section, which is the 212. And again, that's the change where Stephanie was talking about the change in the behavior interventionist to the deans. So that's where you can see that change in the accounting structure. Special ed, we had an increase of a little over 153,000. We've added some one-to-one aides and some special ed aides. So that's a great thing that we're able to have staff to help our students to excel with that. Our high school, so our high school, 8th grade, and middle school, those are all kind of a little bit different this time. So 8th grade is here in the high school. And with that being said, 8th graders still need to be coded as middle schoolers. So if you took apart, and I'll do a real quick of the account structure, right? The second set of numbers, where I'm saying 241, 212, 112, those mean basically what area? So 112 is middle school, 113 is high school. It doesn't matter what building particular the kids are in, it's what grade they're in, and that's how they're coded. So the 8th graders still have to be coded to the 112 middle school, but I don't really want it coded that way either, just because they're really physically in the high school. So it's got a 112 function for middle school, but it's got a high school building code. So with that being said, is drop them out to a separate little category. So you can kind of see that. So that's part of it. So when I say the high school's down, 8th grade's up, middle school's down, it's kind of just a reshuffle of putting the staff in the right categories and stuff like that. In the elementary, we had a decrease of about 94,000. We have a few teacher positions that we are currently using subs to fulfill those needs in those classrooms. So that's actually a bit of a savings in those district funds that currently. With that, those are the main categories. There's of course that you can touch on every single change a lot, there's salary benefits and just normal annual stuff that gets changed on there. Is there any questions that anybody has regarding those expenditures?
I think you do a great job, Gina.
Thank you.
Very thorough. I appreciate it.
I just want to kind of touch base on the fund balance, just as we have it broke down here. Our fund balance at the beginning of the year after the audit is the 6.5, almost 6.6 million. We have this 70,000 that's earmarked. We have inventory. So basically that's already been spent and will get moved as it's used back into the budget. So that's like non-spendable money. And then this 1.379, those are for capital projects, and then there's about 45,000 that is for the pool project that we've kind of held on to over time. So when we have issues with, like 1 year we might have more issues with needing repairs or something like that, then we can use those funds to do that. But you'll see that turf came out of that. So as we replenish and do things to that, we'll replenish the turf into that account. But that 1.3, it's about 1.33 million on there, coming up there exactly. It's for capital improvements that we have currently. And then that leaves us with the 4.7 as the unsigned, and that's what we use, that's our safety net. So depending on if we were, had something to go on with the roof that we had to do, we would use that capital projects, but, that's probably not going to cover everything, or if there's, a boiler's not, I always used boiler before because we always had old boilers, but I'm going to have to come up with a different example now because roofs.
They cost more than boilers.
Yeah, so we've used that forever because they've been old, right, but now they're not, so we're very thankful for that. But yeah, and then that leaves us with the almost 6.2 million in fund balance. And then I'll be bringing another revision to you that's tighter in June, and then also with the next year's budget projections. Is there any questions I can answer? That's all I have, so thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew was next.
Just so you can see it. It's the Where's stay on the screen?
Thank you. No mistake, just come far.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks. Thanks.
All right, so the high school, we've done quite a few things differently this year. Obviously, we have the 8th grade. I'm going to start out by highlighting some of the success that the 8th grade have after I introduce the team. So we have myself, our assistant principal, Mr. Allen, and our dean of students, Ms. Kane. And then for 8th grade, the 8th graders came over. We have plenty of space at the high school. They've really integrated well with the other students. We have them in this hallway right here for their core classes, but they go out, they're friends with the other kids look out for them. So we see really them joining in the community, and they haven't really struggled in doing so. So it's nice to see them doing that. And next year, we get a huge bonus because the 8th graders are already here. So typically the 9th graders struggle when they come up from 8th grade, but the 8th graders are already here. So next year there'll be 9th graders. They'll be used to this building, our rules, our expectations. So we'll have 2 grades that make a huge jump next year. The current 8th graders and the 9th graders. So that'll be nice to start the year with 2 grades making a huge jump and not having that transition. So the 8th graders made huge progress in math, so I was really excited about this. So in the fall, they were at the 34th percentile for achievement, and in the winter, they moved to the 42nd, and that's a huge jump in this growth bar. So they did better than 74% of their peers who took this test. So that's an enormous increase, and last year it was around the 34th. So they did significantly better in math this year than they did last year. And if they can keep this growth and go up another 8 points, they'll be at the 50th percentile, which is right in the middle of everybody else who takes this test. So if we can keep them with this increase, that'll be huge for the 8th grade. So we were really excited to see that. So for 9th and 10th grade, the 10th graders went from, or 9th graders went from 43rd to 45th, but their growth was at the 57th percentile, so they did better than 56% of their peers in terms of growth. 10th graders also made a huge improvement like the 8th grade did. They went from 37th to 46th, so they're on pace to get above that 50 percentile, which is, I told them their goal was to get above that mark. And if they keep at the 72nd, they'll reach that in the spring. So we're excited to see that happen. So reading, I have reading 8 through 10 all in one. As you can see, the growth was 45th percentile, achievement was 45th, and it stayed 45th. Part of the reason that this happened, we were short an English teacher for half the year. And now we have Mr. Martin teaching English, so we have a certified English teacher in that classroom. So we expect, especially the 8th graders, to make a significant improvement now that we have a certified teacher in that classroom. So we're hoping for some big gains, and for the whole school to get above that 50th percentile. And they're at the 45th, so they're close. So we think that can happen this spring. So suspensions, it declined the amount of students who were suspended this year by 52%. So this is total students suspended. So this year, 36 students that are currently enrolled had been suspended by February 6th. Last year, it was 69 by February 6th. So we had a 52% decrease in the number of students who's been suspended, and we have an extra grade at the high school. So We've made some huge improvements. And when I pulled the data, 8th grade, nobody had been suspended since December 18th. 9th grade, 2 since winter break. 10th, nobody since November 20th. 11th, no one since November 14th. And seniors, nobody since October 4th. So we've had a huge decrease in suspensions, and you can tell that throughout the building when you walk around, that things are much more positive, and the interactions between staff and students have significantly improved over the last year. And then why? Trust. So we really work on building trust and fostering relationships with the students, between students and teachers and students, PBS and MTSS. I'll touch on those later, but we have a lot of celebrations and positive things going on in the school. We have teams that meet and work with students. We work on the positive interactions and relationships, doing day-to-day interventions, proactive interventions. An example of those relationships, today the students, 49 seniors, were told or picked to take the NAEP test. And telling a senior they got to take an optional test is tough to get them to do it. So I called them all down to that room. They all wanted to opt out, shockingly. And I asked them to take it for me, and not a single kid refused to take it. So we've really built up that relationship with the students, and it's, like I said, it's showing. We really tried to build a sense of belonging in this building. As you can see, they wrote outside, "You matter, it's okay not to be okay." We have a lot of committees, dances, homecoming events, winter carnival, assemblies, PBS assemblies. The seniors get to paint their parking spots. We started the preseason now for esports, started yesterday. So I walked up there right before I came in here, and they were playing Super Smash Brothers upstairs in the computer lab. So that was exciting to see that going. So we just added a bunch of new things, and we're trying to make sure everybody feels like they belong. I left it back there, but the staff are also creating these little cards, and I have them up on a bulletin board in the hallway where they talk about, "I appreciate you for," or another one was, "You made me smile when," and they fill it out for each other at every staff meeting and every PD we do. So my hope is we fill that whole board and it's just covering itself with just positivity in the hallway. Again, just to highlight, we have for a homecoming and winter carnival, you can see in the top left our football stands. I've only been here 2 years, but this year I have never seen so many fans in the stands or standing along the side and the fence. So it was great to see the new stadium and Mr. Hatton really reinvigorate our athletic program to where they were excited to be there, and we were tossing t-shirts into the stands, and the kids have had a lot of fun at games. We did a staff-student basketball game. There's Mr. Grennis dribbling up the court. We've done tug-of-war with the students. There's Mrs. Lemmer joining tug-of-war. We still have not lost it.
Game changer.
We haven't lost yet. So just a lot of exciting things happening at the school. We had Eric Hipple, a former Detroit Lion, come to the school earlier this year. He really preached 5 components of stress control, which are predictability, controllability, trust, relationships, and purpose. And he spoke to the students in 2 groups. He did 8th and 9th grade and then 10th through 12th. So he did his speech twice. But it was navigating the pillars of mental fitness, recognizing choices, self-esteem, boundaries, and vulnerability, being aware of oneself, observation of others, utilizing tools of mental fitness. He wrote a book, so he signed the book for the kids who bought it. He signed autographs for the kids afterwards who even didn't. So it was really kind of nice to have him here talking to the kids. March 15th, we have Dump coming. It is a dynamic basketball BMX performers along with educational and informational messages on the dangers of distracted driving. So a majority of the accidents in the United States are from teens, whether it's texting, talking to their friends, driving under the influence, or inexperienced driving. So they're coming to talk about distracted driving to our students. So we're excited to have that come to our school and deliver that message. The middle school had teen intervene before, but we added it to the high school as well. So if a student makes a poor choice and has used a vape or something along those lines, when they come back, they sit for a day with teen intervene and they talk to them about the dangers of substance abuse and those kind of things. So I think it's really helped delivering the message to the students. So we've used this in lieu of suspensions at times. So it really helps keep the kids here, and then it teaches them different ways to deal with things rather than use substances.
Is that online?
It's in person, they come in. Yeah, they come in person. They come once a month if we have somebody. But yeah.
That's nice.
We have Prevent to Protect, so it's a group of psychiatrists, criminologists, physicians, allied health professionals. So if students are struggling, they help set students up with community resources that they may need in order to be successful. A lot of times families don't know who to reach out to for help, and they will set them up with the help that they need. So this is a great program to help kids and families who need services or help and they don't know how to get it. We just did this on Monday. We had Risa, or Monday was yesterday. We had Risa come out. They're going to work with our counselors and our teachers. They're going to have career coaches and career exploration, and they're going to have internships that kids can be a part of. And there's smaller internships throughout the school year, but the big ones during the summer. But they're going to work with the kids on their future goals, career paths, and guidance to make informed decisions about their careers. We have about 800 kids in the high school and 2 counselors, so this is really going to help us push the kids towards what their dream is. So I'm really excited to work with them.
Is it also part of this partnership that the students that participate get employment
Yes.
during the summer? They get paid?
Yes, so it is paid internships, and they said a lot of times the companies hire the kids right afterwards. So if it's working out, they'll hire the students. So this is a great opportunity for our kids.
What kids does this target?
It targets low income, 504, and special education. Staff relationship building, we've worked really hard to build relationships with staff and students this year. As you can see, kind of wish I had this costume, but on dress up days with teachers dressed up with the students, we had a cornhole tournament where they drew numbers, and so they can get to choose their partner. Somehow Mr. Coos and Mr. Porter ended up on the same team and rolled through everybody, but everybody had a lot of fun. Ms. Collins actually gave them a run for their money though. We did a staff-student basketball game, as I said before. We did a staff-student flag football game on the football field, so we had all the students in the stands watching the staff or student football game. We've had days where students could choose to go to the gym or be in a classroom and play board games as a reward. And each month changes, so the first month we were targeting tardies. So if you had less than 4 tardies, you were able to attend that assembly. The second month was referrals. If you had less than 2, you were able to attend that assembly. So we've targeted different things throughout the year, and try to do fun things with the students. And then with the staff, we've played different games, like we did the cornhole tournament. We did another game where I started talking, and I only told 2 or 3 people because I wanted to see if they caught on. I started talking about the Lions, and then I started talking about how the Bears weren't very good because Mr. Allen is a Bears fan. And then he started talking because we had something in common because I mentioned the Bears. And he started talking about why he got into teaching. And Mr. Steele came up and said, I also went into teaching for this. And then the next person, for long, everybody was standing at the front, and we brought it back together. We all had something in common. We took a string of yarn. I said I really appreciated how Mr. Boyd taught 2 classes that were brand new, created all the curriculum for it, handed it to him, held on the end. We went around and made a huge circle to show we were all connected. So we've done a lot of building as a team this year, trying to connect the staff. Any questions?
It's good stuff.
One other cool thing that you didn't add, but Mr. Roy worked, so there's a civics feed in Battle Creek that's put on through the Chamber of Commerce, and you have the opportunity to advance to the national level, and so I've been kind of pestering and so I like though that Mr. Roy worked with the English teacher to give all the students an opportunity to write the 500-word essay, and then we had 10 students that actually submitted theirs to compete in the citywide civics feed that will be coming up, and those essays were just due last week, so we should hear relatively quickly about who will get to move on to compete in that. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. We also have another assembly schedule called Straight Talk. It's about drug addiction and alcohol addiction. So we're trying to make sure we bring that awareness to the students. So we have that scheduled for March as well. I didn't put that on the slide, but yeah, we just scheduled that.
Thank you.
Communication, so our student representative is not here this evening, so we will go with 7.2, superintendent's report.
Awesome.
She's playing basketball.
She's playing basketball in Hastings, so. But one thing on the student report is next month we will have student candidates for the board to consider for the next upcoming 2-year seat that we're looking to get a student representative seated for. So that should be exciting. So a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. One is we've added on our main website an employment opportunities link, so that it's right on the homepage when you click on that. And that request had come to me from our paraprofessionals union. When I met with them, they pointed out they thought it would be easier if we could just put that right out front. So know that that's there, and for anybody that's wondering what employment opportunities we have, hopefully we can get them there quicker. This week our 6th graders are going to camp. So Miss Bruce is about to be real tired. She's going to brave the overnight camp, and also Mr. Beck and Tim will be going as well. So we're excited about that and excited for our students. We haven't been able to do that for a while. Another thing just to kind of make you aware of is I've been really working on building community partnerships. Getting inaugurated into the Battle Creek Rotary Club next week, and I've been asked to sit on the McPherson Fund, which is a community fund that focuses on building literacy across Battle Creek for all of the schools and community members. So I'll be joining up with a number of different community leaders to work on that and to represent our districts there. I met today with the vice president of Grace Health, Mr. DeRider, and I went there and started to engage in some dialogue about how we can build stronger connections for our district to not only provide more mental health services, but also to look at what other medical health services we can provide as well. So we look forward to strengthening that partnership with them. I also received a letter from the Michigan school business officials letting us know that Angela Biergetter earned her human resources specialist certification, which is a very prestigious award, and it takes quite some time to earn that. So we'll definitely be doing all that we can to highlight her and celebrate her, because she invested a lot of her time above and beyond the workday to go after that. I also received notice that I'm one of 4 women that are being recognized by Kalamazoo Valley Community College in the month of March, which is Women's History Month, as a notable woman in the community. And so there will be a number of celebrations associated with that. One on March 29th, where I will have the opportunity to speak with the other honorees. I'm not quite sure how I was selected, but looking forward to representing Pennfield and participating in that. The big thing I wanted to highlight is, and a big thank you, is supporting us in our adventure to go study at Harvard. I know that we had plans for bringing our presentation to you formally about all that we learned, but there's this book that we've all kind of, been exposed to in education at one time or another, called Instructional Rounds in Education. And we actually got to go, a team of us who went, myself, Stephanie Bruce, Trevor, and April, and Aubrey Hathaway, our union president. We assembled a team and we got to learn from the actual authors, Elizabeth City and Sarah Kierman, in Cambridge for a week. It was intensive. And my assessment of it was that it is the best professional development that I've ever received. It was very enlightening to go with a team of building level, central office, as well as our leader of our teachers, to start looking at how we build collaborative systems of being able to reflect on teaching and learning in our district. We had set out, we had conducted a couple of instructional rounds, and just hearing from the teachers how they see that as the value of that. I think we're all really excited to bring more fidelity to our implementation of this model, so that we can really learn from one another to just keep doing better and growing more and more in our profession. So it was truly amazing, and really appreciate the opportunity to take our team there and to learn with them. So thank you very much. One last thing is the governor's budget was released, and preliminarily they're saying that we can expect to see about a $250 per pupil increase in the foundation allowance. The past couple of years we've seen twice that, $550 per pupil increase. So we'll be paying close attention to that, and as we start developing the budget for next year, and all of that. The other big thing out of the governor's budget was really this focus on universal pre-K and making sure that that's happening in districts everywhere. So we'll be paying close attention to that as well, and learning as much as we can about what we need to do to access that opportunity for our school district as well. And I believe that the last thing I had on my list was that I had the opportunity to sit on a panel at the Chamber of Commerce's annual State of Battle Creek update. And I sat on a panel with the other city superintendents, and we answered questions for the community around what obstacles we're facing in terms of what we're trying to accomplish in public education. It was a great opportunity to participate in that as well, and get to work with my colleagues doing that. So that's everything that I have for you. Lots of good things happening.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, 8.0 consent agenda, approval of the agenda, approval of minutes from January 30th, 2024. 8.3, approve check registers. 8.4, approve electronic funds transfer. 8.5, approve finance expenditure report. I need a motion.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, 10.0, items for approval. 10.1, approval of January bond bills. It is the recommendation of the Director of Finance and Operations and the Superintendent that the board approve the bond bills for the month of December and January for King Scott Associates and for Triangle. A summary of the services rendered is attached.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Ten point two, approval of bid pack for North Penn Elementary classroom additions. Superintendent Lemmer is recommending that the board accept the lowest bidders for the North Penn classroom addition. Make a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's exciting. Ten point three, approval of mid-year budget amendment. It is the recommendation of the Director of Finance and the Superintendent that the Board of Education approve the mid-year budget amendment for the 23-24 fiscal year.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Ten point four, approve the purchase of GPS system for all buses, including attendance system. The Director of Finance and Operation Transportation Supervisor are recommending that the board approve the purchase of a GPS system for all of our school buses to aid substitute drivers with turn-by-turn directions and electronic attendance system to ensure students are on the correct bus and are dropped off at the appropriate stop.
Can I ask a question about this one before we do the approval? Does this include the feature where like parents can see where the bus is? So I know in Bell Lake, my friend, like they know that the bus is like coming, so to get out there, does it allow that?
I think that, I didn't want to answer like 100%, but we've talked about a lot of things and we've looked at a lot of things, so we're
Okay.
gonna meet with them again before we like finalize, so I can get back to you, but that was definitely one thing that we were wanting to help also, so you can see if they're running late or not. And I
Yeah,
think that,
alleviate
Yes.
that one call that you make and stuff.
yeah, and I believe that, I'm like 98% sure that it does, but I can get back with you too and just
Okay.
clarify.
I have a question too. So like, are they gonna be totally dependent on this? I just wonder like, I can just envision somebody getting this somewhere.
So I think being dependent on, I mean, they'll learn their route, like our drivers now, like they run their routes, they know. I'm surprised just even starting and working in transportation, how it's like we could be talking, and they're like, oh yeah, it's not, that kid lives on da. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know where like every kid lives, the address, they like really do know. It's,
More for when they have to hop on a route they don't normally
yeah,
drive.
or a sub, right?
Yeah.
And it'll help them too, because it'll help, it just, when it's dark, in the beginning of the school day, or school year, when there might have new people on or other things, it's gonna help. So I think it's gonna be a helpful tool, but I think it's really gonna be helpful to subs.
How big, is that like a screen on the bus?
It's like a tablet, yes.
That'll be nice. They won't be filling with a paper.
Right, and right now, that's basically what we have. I mean, they get their route sheet, a sub comes on, we hand them their route sheet.
Like the old school.
Yeah, and then they go, and then, they have to try it out, between stops, when they're at a stop, they kind of get to fiddle to see where they're going to the next stop, and so on and so forth. So we're really hoping that will definitely help them.
This kind of came about from the incident that we had earlier this year where our sub driver, once you miss a stop or two, the kids, they start to act up because you missed a stop. Now you're a little more flustered. And so when we met with parents, and also just getting feedback from some of our new drivers that have come on, that have worked in other places, they voiced pretty quickly, and I think Kirby brought up too, that would be a good way to maybe prevent that from happening again.
I'm excited about the sign-on, sign-off feature too. I mean, I ran dispatch, and that's an interesting, I think everybody should take a swing at dispatch sometime, but, when there's like, especially at the beginning of school, it's just a matter of fact, right? Usually, oh, that's good, somebody might get on the wrong bus, or there are, so you have to try to find it. As you're talking to a parent, I'm a parent, I would be frantic too, like, where's my kid, why they're not gonna, trying to do that, and then this is gonna they're gonna scan on, and if they don't have their card, because that's, what if they forget their card, there's a way that the bus driver can tap the screen to put them on, and it'll bring up their picture, and stuff like that, and then as they get off too, then it pops up at the stop that, 4 kids, it'll show their pictures, are getting off at the stop, and then they can check them off too. So I'm really hoping that's gonna really help. With it. Right now, we're currently taking attendance with pen and paper. That takes a lot more time than, just scan on as they hop on there.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is this something they'll be implementing over the summer? or-
We're trying really hard, so talking to the company, and that's why we brought it to this one meeting, that they have quite a lead out there, but we're already using this company for our routing software, so we're hoping that kind of minimizes our transition. And I told them I really, really want to push to have it started for the start of the next school year. They can't promise me that, but they were a little bit more willing to say that might happen if we got this approved now and can move forward. So I'm very hopeful that we will, but I can't say 100%, but I'll definitely be pushing for it to happen over the summer.
Thank you. Okay, 10.5, school of choice resolution. Superintendent Lemmer is recommending the board approve a resolution allowing Pennfield schools to accept school of choice students for the 24-25 school year. This is an annual approval that allows for the district to accept school of choice students.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Any board comments? Well, I would like to thank Angina for all your hard work on the budget. You've done such a great job. I know it's a lot of work. And also, Andrew Lloyd for your presentation tonight and all the exciting things that's happening in our high school for our students. And the teamwork collaboration, I love that. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll adjourn this meeting at 7 PM. Get on the dot.
Access Vision. Your voice, your community.